Welcome, focused learner. Today, we're jumping straight into a massive shift in the tech sector. On May 6, 2026, two absolute titans of the industry struck a deal that honestly doesn't just change their own trajectories, it completely alters the global AI landscape as we know it. We're talking about an unprecedented partnership between Anthropic and SpaceX. In today's explainer, we're going to break down exactly what this huge infrastructure agreement means, the astonishing scale behind it, and why it signals a totally new era for artificial intelligence.
Okay, let's dive into this, because the central irony here hooks you right from the start. What happens when fierce competitors suddenly become indispensable business partners? I mean, you really have to ask yourself, what kind of immense gravitational pull does it take to force direct rivals to sit down at the negotiating table and actually sign a massive, long-term operational contract?
To understand just how structurally unusual this anomaly is, you have to look at the dynamic. SpaceX effectively owns xAI, right? And xAI is a direct competitor to Anthropic. Yet SpaceX is literally leasing its largest existing data center, the Colossus 1 facility down in Memphis, Tennessee, to its rival. And Anthropic is taking full occupancy. Just think about that for a second. You are essentially handing the keys to your biggest factory directly over to your main competitor.
Now, if you're wondering how the executives feel about all this, Elon Musk actually confirmed the deal personally on X. He explained that, well, since SpaceX and xAI had already moved their model training over to the newer Colossus 2 facility, it freed up Colossus 1 for third-party use. What this brilliantly illustrates is that right now, sheer commercial strategy and revenue generation are completely overriding any sort of competitive pettiness in the AI space.
Section 1. The massive compute scale. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we step away from the corporate drama for a second to look at the physical hardware.
And we start with a staggering number, 300 megawatts. This isn't some speculative projection for 5 years down the line. No way! This is AI compute capacity entering live commercial deployment within the month. A facility of this size requires the kind of energy infrastructure that could literally power a medium-sized city, and it's all being dedicated entirely to Anthropic's operations.
But you know, the power is really only half the story here. Anthropic is securing 220,000 Nvidia GPUs. And these aren't outdated chips either. This arsenal includes the highly coveted H100s, H200s, and even the next-generation GB200 accelerators. Securing the sheer volume of top-tier Nvidia silicon in today's constrained supply chain is just a monumental achievement. It immediately catapults Anthropic's processing capabilities straight into the stratosphere.
So, what does this massive hardware drop actually mean for you, the user? It translates directly into immediate massive capacity improvements. If you are a Claude Pro or Claude Max Enterprise subscriber, you're the direct beneficiary. Anthropic is already raising the Claude Opus API rate limits and completely doubling the 5-hour limits for Claude Code. They're taking those 220,000 GPUs and immediately converting them into a smoother, much faster, and far more robust experience for paying users.
Section 2. Erasing compute scarcity.
You see, this deal isn't just about a quick hardware upgrade. It's part of a very deliberate, calculated strategy by Anthropic to completely erase compute scarcity as a constraint on their growth. Anthropic's total GPU fleet sits at a massive 500,000 units, and just under half of that entire fleet is coming from the single Colossus 1 deal with SpaceX. One signature on a contract essentially doubled their physical capacity overnight.
But Colossus 1 doesn't stand alone. Anthropic is building an absolutely impenetrable compute moat. We're talking a 5 gigawatt agreement with Amazon, another 5 gigawatt agreement with Google and Broadcom, a $30 billion strategic partnership for Microsoft Azure capacity, and a $50 billion US infrastructure investment with FluidStack. They are showing enterprise buyers that they have genuine organizational scale. They're proving they aren't just building smart models, they're building an unstoppable delivery engine.
Section 3. Reaching regulated global markets.
With this massive infrastructure stack finally in place, Anthropic is turning its attention outward, unlocking traditionally cautious international markets. They're extending highly reliable capacity to enterprise buyers across Africa and the Middle East. Historically, AI adoption in these regions has been severely limited by two massive roadblocks: data residency laws and service reliability. But when you have a dedicated facility delivering 300 megawatts of power, you finally have the bandwidth to guarantee the kind of continuous, localized uptime these emerging markets demand.
And it's not just geographic expansion either.
It's sector expansion into highly regulated industries. Think financial services, healthcare, and government-linked institutions. These are sectors that simply cannot afford downtime or data leaks, period. Thanks to the raw scale provided by Colossus One, Claude can now be provisioned as a reliable, enterprise-grade tool for organizations operating under the strictest governance requirements on the planet.
Section 4. The orbital compute frontier. Let's move to and see how this builds into something truly wild.
The Colossus One deal actually hints at something straight out of science fiction, an orbital AI data center mega constellation. Back in January, SpaceX actually filed paperwork with the FCC to deploy a 1 million satellite network designed specifically to support AI workloads in space. Now, obviously, we have to acknowledge that this concept still faces immense technical and regulatory hurdles. Launching entire data centers into orbit isn't exactly plug and play.
But the absolutely crucial detail here is that Anthropic has explicitly expressed interest in partnering with SpaceX to develop multiple gigawatts of this space-based compute, effectively positioning themselves as an anchor customer. This is a massive signal. It ties the fortunes of two major frontier tech companies to an infrastructure paradigm that doesn't even exist yet. It shows they're already planning for a future where terrestrial power grids simply aren't enough.
Section 5. The infrastructure battleground.
Let's bring the narrative back down to earth for a minute, right down to the ultimate bottom line. We've talked about what Anthropic gets out of this, but why is SpaceX making this deal right now? Well, it's because AI data center revenue is now a disclosed line item for SpaceX. By adding a giant like Anthropic as a named compute customer, SpaceX is proving to the financial world that it's much, much more than just a rocket launch and satellite internet business. They are now officially a major player in AI infrastructure.
To ground this abstract strategy in concrete financial reality, let's map out the timeline. SpaceX filed confidentially with the SEC on April 1st. They expect the public S1 by late May, with a roadshow set for the week of June 8th. The timing of the Anthropic deal is absolutely no coincidence. It's designed to perfectly bolster their financial narrative right as they step in front of public investors.
And they need that narrative to be flawlessly strong to justify their target valuation, an astronomical $1.75 to $2 trillion. Securing steady, massive revenue streams from the hottest sector in tech, AI infrastructure, is exactly how you justify an initial public offering of that incredible size.
So the crucial point is that the competitive battleground in the AI industry has fundamentally shifted. It is no longer just about who has the cleverest algorithm or the smartest model performance. Nope, it is now about pure compute infrastructure and physical scale. The future belongs to whoever secures the physical capacity to deliver these AI models reliably, at blazing speeds, and at institutional volumes.
Which leaves us with this final provocative thought to ponder. Who really wins the AI war? Is it the company that builds the smartest artificial intelligence? Or is it the company that owns the physical hardware and the energy grid that the AI is forced to run on? This Anthropic SpaceX deal suggests that right now, the true power in the tech industry lies in the silicon and the megawatts. Thank you for joining me on this explainer. Focused learner, keep questioning the infrastructure around you, and I'll see you next time.